Thank you.
Thank you very warmly, Colonel Jones.
Thank you very warmly, recognizing you in your capacity as Director of CARICOM Impacts, and by way of your introduction, for a few remarks from yours truly as Minister of National Security. Your Excellency, Madam Candice Bond, United States Ambassador to the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, Ambassador Todd Robinson, Assistant Secretary for International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Affairs, Mr. Michael Beneri, Associate Deputy Attorney General and U.S. Coordinator for Caribbean Firearms Prosecutions, all of the Commissioners of Police of the region, joining us virtually, in particular Trinidad and Tobago's Commissioner, Madam Erla Haywood-Christopher, representatives of the U.S. Department of State, officials of the U.S. Embassy, and all of the heads of the respective law enforcement agencies engaged with us here today and those attending virtually. The pleasure is mine to be with you yet again on yet another installment in our purchase of peace and security and the maintenance of the values that we are based on and by which we live in this peaceful zone that is the Caribbean region. We are always reminded of the high incidence of gun crimes, gun-related crimes, not all homicides. Many of the crimes that we have to contend with do not result in homicides, but guns play a very central role in them, to the extent that in terms of homicides, some of the countries of our region with traditionally the lowest homicide rates have within recent times, I was shockingly to observe, the highest in the world in terms of per capita figures. Some of the very small countries in the region, with very small populations. So the impact is, of course, as we all understand, quite great. By our legal definition, a lot of this involves gangs. And may I deeply say at the outset that I'm very heartened, particularly since I see this work, this platform, as a subset of the larger international effort to dealing with the problems of gun violence. I am particularly heartened to note on a weekly basis that the U.S. Southcom, operating with representatives from CARICOM's Coast Guard entities, working the Atlantic and the Caribbean Sea as they do, they have had great successes interdicting vessels, recording on a weekly basis tons of drugs and firearms in the course of that work. And I want to record that this gives me a sense of comfort. It makes me feel as though we are going someplace. And as I say, the establishment of this CARICOM Gun Intelligence Unit is a small part of the larger project bringing about the peace and security that we all aim to. Gang leaders, as we know, arm themselves with illicitly acquired weapons. Haiti is a prime example of the worst extremity of this, as the region is grappling with the way forward in terms of dealing with Haiti, pulling Haiti back from the precipitous fall that it has fallen into. We in Trinidad and Tobago and the CARICOM have also taken due notice, Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, of President Biden's response to what emerged as persistent calls from the leaders of the region to help us with the problems that beset us. This situation for us in Trinidad and Tobago has manifested itself in such a way that 5.56 and 7.62 ammunition flowing from military-grade weapons are a common feature of everyday crime scenes in all the little districts and villages around the place. The U.S. Department of Commerce, we have observed quite happily and thankfully, issued a pause on all licenses to grant export weapons to non-state civilian actors or dealers. From the 1st of July 2024, there will, in accordance with that new regime, be a policy of the presumption of denial where imports of firearms to non-state dealers or entities in 36 identified high-risk countries, of which several are CARICOM states, not the least Trinidad and Tobago, would require proof in terms of the end user. This new regime is expected to reduce exports to the region by some 35%. It favors the state as end users as opposed to non-state entities, as evidence has shown that diversion, the movement of legal arms and stockpiles from lawful and prudent hands to unlawful and imprudent hands and criminal entities is a greater possibility. So these 36 countries have been identified, and this follows the making of interstate movement of weapons inside of the United States, in some ways a federal offense. This happened sometime last year. And these are very encouraging signs for us. So far for the year, we in Trinidad and Tobago have had just about 200 murders, and we are not yet at the middle of the month of May. As I indicated, the type of ammunition that I alluded to a while ago is a common feature in crime scenes. 87% of the murders take place with guns, and we have already had in this peaceful little island, or what ought to have been peaceful, our second quadruple murder event for the year. And most of all, our people are gripped in fear and trauma. Speaking to a constituent of mine only yesterday morning, she very matter-of-factly told me, and I was inquiring about an event that took place in the neighborhood, nobody would speak because they are just gripped by fear. They are aware of the presence of these guns not too far from them, and they are acutely aware of the sound and the smell and the mayhem that they cause. It was the 24th meeting of CONSLE, the Council for National Security Law Enforcement and Law Enforcement Officers of the region in October 22. We agreed to the establishment of this gun or crime gun intelligence unit. And in quick order, and I want to compliment CARICOM Impacts, in very quick order, within a month, I am advised that it was implemented, it is up, it is running, and bearing great fruit in terms of our efforts. That kind of work, that kind of response, and our collaboration with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms and Explosives, Homeland Security Investigations, Customs and Border Protection, and more recently the Bureau of Industry and Security. Some of your personnel have been for a while and are here on the ground in the region with us. This too gives us a great sense of comfort in speaking to some of our personnel. They excitedly report of the relationship they share with you, the information they share with you, the workable intelligence that comes, and I see the successes that come as a result. I'm happy that in terms of this unit, personnel from Barbados, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines, and Trinidad and Tobago has staffed it, and it is playing its role. In conclusion, for my part, I, like you, recognize these firearms to be physical things. It's as simple as that for me. They are not, they are physical things, and they are somewhere waiting to be found. It is the intelligence, it is the work, the e-tracing, the persistent efforts of all of the operatives in the region. And I believe that will make the difference. And I believe that we can win this. I believe with the measures, some of which I have outlined, coming from the major source of these weapons, the United States, and the very proud actions taken by the US government up to this point, and this kind of work led by this intelligence unit, we can make a big difference. We can put a big dent in this and restore peace and safety to the people of the region. I thank you.